Have you ever noticed a voice inside you that never sleeps? A voice that says, I must be right. I must be seen. I must be respected. I must not be rejected. I must not look weak. It speaks when you are praised. It swells and says, finally, they see me. It speaks when you are criticized. It burns and says, how dare they? It speaks when someone else succeeds. It whispers, what about me? It speaks when plans collapse. It screams, this should not happen to me. And the strangest part is this: the voice feels like you. So you obey it. You defend it. You feed it. You become it. Then you wonder why you cannot find peace. Tonight I want to offer you one question that can change everything. What if that voice is not you? What if it is only a habit? What if it is only a pattern? What if it is only a protective mask built from fear and desire? The Buddha did not teach that you must become empty and cold. He taught a freedom that is warm, a clarity that is gentle, a mind that can love without clinging, a heart that can stand tall without pride. Stay close. We will learn how the ego is built, how it creates suffering, how to recognize it in daily life, and how to meet it with mindfulness so it no longer drives the wheel. Welcome, dear friends, to Buddha Peaceful Mind. Thank you for being here. If you are tired of being pushed and pulled by the mind, let this teaching meet you gently. In the Buddha's teaching, the ego is not a solid enemy living inside you. It is not a permanent creature. It is a process. It is the mind's habit of building a story called me, then guarding that story as if it were life itself. The story is made of roles, memories, labels, pride, shame, success, failure, trauma, hopes, and fears. The ego says, this is who I am. This is what I own. This is what I deserve. This is what must not happen to me. When reality agrees with the story, the ego feels pleasure. When reality disagrees, the ego suffers. So the ego lives between two movements, grasping what it likes, pushing away what it dislikes. Grasping creates fear of loss. Pushing away creates anger and resistance. This is why the Buddha pointed to craving and clinging as a root of suffering. Not because desire is evil, but because clinging turns life into a battlefield. The first step is not to hate the ego. The first step is to understand it. Because what you understand, you can work with. What you do not understand, you become. Here is one correction that saves many students. The goal is not to destroy the ego. The goal is to stop identifying with it. The sense of self can be a tool for daily life. It helps you keep commitments. It helps you care for your body. It helps you function in society. The problem is when the tool becomes the master. When the ego becomes the master, you suffer. When awareness becomes the master, you live with clarity. So we will practice seeing the ego, not fighting it. We will practice pausing, not performing. We will practice honesty, not spiritual pride. This is the Buddha's way. Before we go further, let us speak with compassion about why the ego exists at all. The ego often began as protection. Somewhere in your life you learned that being rejected hurts. You learned that being humiliated hurts. You learned that being ignored hurts. You learn that being unsafe hurts, so the mind builds strategies. Be impressive, so you are not rejected. Be strong, so you are not hurt. Be right, so you are not shamed. Control, so you are not abandoned. These strategies helped you survive, so do not hate them. But what helps you survive does not always help you be free. Later, the same strategies become a prison. They keep you tense. They keep you defensive. They keep you hungry for approval. They keep you afraid of criticism. So the Buddha's path does not demand that you punish the ego. It invites you to thank the protective part of the mind. Then take the steering wheel back with mindfulness. You can even say inside, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I will handle this with wisdom now." This one sentence can end a war inside you. And when inner war ends, peace becomes possible. The Buddha offered images to show how the ego creates suffering. One image is the burning coal. When you are angry, it is like holding a hot coal. You want to throw it at someone else, but you burn first. Notice the body when ego feels threatened. The chest tightens, the jaw clenches, the breath becomes shallow, the mind becomes sharp and cruel. That is the coal. The ego says, keep holding it, it will protect you. But it does not protect you, it poisons you. So the practice is to drop the coal. Not because the other person deserves comfort, because you deserve freedom. There is another image, the two arrows. The first arrow is pain, loss, illness, rejection, change. The second arrow is what the ego adds, the replay, the argument with reality, the revenge fantasy, the shame story, the identity of being ruined. The Buddha taught that you cannot always avoid the first arrow, but you can train to stop shooting the second arrow. So when pain comes, name it as pain. Then look for the second arrow. Ask, what is my mind adding right now? Then release one piece of that addition. This is the beginning of liberation. There is a short story from the Buddhist tradition. A man came to insult a wise monk. He spoke harshly, hoping to provoke anger. The monk listened quietly. The man said, "Why are you not reacting?" The monk asked, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to? The man said, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The monk said, in the same way, I do not accept your anger. It remains with you. This is not weakness. It is the strength of not feeding the ego's hunger to fight. Two monks were walking and saw a woman afraid to cross a river. One monk carried her across and set her down. They continued walking. Hours later, the second monk was still upset. He said we should not have touched her. The first monk said, I put her down at the river. Why are you still carrying her? The ego carries people for years. It carries insults. It carries betrayal. It carries humiliation. Forgiveness is putting the burden down at the river, not forgetting, not approving, simply refusing to keep carrying poison. Now let us enter the heart of the Buddha's insight about self. In a simple way, he taught that what we call a self is made of changing parts, not one solid core. A practical way to see this is through the 5 aggregates. There is the body. There are feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. There are perceptions, the labels the mind gives. There are mental formations, habits, and intentions. There is consciousness, the basic knowing. Now look carefully. The body changes. Feelings change. Perceptions change. Habits change. Consciousness changes moment by moment. So where is the permanent self? Non-self does not mean you do not exist. It means you are not a permanent, independent controller. You are a living process, a stream of conditions. When you cling to a fixed identity inside this stream, you suffer. When you relax the clinging, you become freer. An old teaching compares the self to a chariot. A chariot is not found in one part, not in the wheel, not in the axle, not in the seat, not in the frame. The word chariot is a convenient name for parts arranged in a certain way. In the same way, the word self is a convenient name for body and mind arranged in a certain way. This teaching is not meant to make you empty. It is meant to make you lighter. Because if the self is a process, then change is possible. Healing is possible. A new habit is possible. Non-self is often misunderstood. People fear it will make them numb. But the Buddha's path is not numbness. It is awakening. Awakening means you feel, and you are not controlled by what you feel. You can feel grief and still breathe. You can feel anger and still choose right speech. You can feel fear and still take one useful action. This is wisdom. This is freedom. A mother named Kisa Gotami lost her child. Her grief was unbearable. She wanted a cure. She wanted a miracle. She went to the Buddha. The Buddha did not insult her grief. He did not say, "Everything is impermanent, so stop crying." He gave her a task. Bring mustard seeds from a home where no one has ever died. Hope rose in her heart. She went door to door. Every home had known death, a parent, a child, a friend. As she walked, grief did not disappear, but it widened. It became less lonely. She saw that loss is part of the human condition. She returned with empty hands, but a mind that had opened. This story is not only about impermanence, it is about ego. Grief becomes unbearable when the ego says, "This should not happen to me. This should not happen to my family. I cannot accept." Wisdom does not erase love. Wisdom allows love to grieve without being destroyed by resistance. That is why the Buddha's compassion is so deep. He guided a heart from tightness into spaciousness. A man named Angulimala was feared for violence. People believed he was beyond redemption. They wanted him destroyed. The Buddha approached him with calmness. Angulimala chased him and could not catch him. Confused, he shouted for the Buddha to stop. The Buddha replied that he had already stopped, but Angulimala had not stopped. Those words entered his heart like a bell. He saw the madness of his life. He laid down his weapon. He chose a new path. He practiced sincerely. Did consequences vanish? No. He still faced pain from past actions, but his mind changed. His direction changed. His ego identity of violence was not permanent. Many people think they cannot change. They think their worst identity is forever. The Buddha's teaching says no. You are not a fixed self. You are a stream of conditions. Change conditions, and you change the stream. This is responsibility and hope together. If you feel this talk is helping you see your mind more clearly, you can subscribe to Buddha Peaceful Mind. Not to collect content, but to keep returning to practice when the mind forgets. Now we will walk through many ordinary moments. Because the ego does not live only in big events. It lives in small reactions. And freedom also lives in small choices. As you listen, you may recognize yourself. Do not judge, just notice. Each recognition is a doorway. Here is a moment when you are interrupted. Notice what the ego says. The ego says, I am being disrespected, and it wants to strike back. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Pause and feel the body. Let the other person finish. Then speak one sentence slowly and clearly. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When someone ignores your message, notice what the ego says. The ego writes a story of rejection and tries to chase or punish. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Name it as story. Take 3 breaths. Choose one nourishing action instead of chasing proof. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when a friend succeeds. Notice what the ego says. The ego compares and turns someone else's joy into your shame. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Wish them well. Let envy become information. Ask what small step you can take in your own life. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are praised. Notice what the ego says. The ego becomes hungry and starts depending on approval. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Enjoy the warmth without clinging. Say thank you. Return to breath and humility. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are criticized. Notice what the ego says. The ego hears danger and becomes defensive or collapses into shame. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Breathe first. Ask what part is useful. Repair what is true. Release the rest. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when plans change. Notice what the ego says. The ego says this should not happen and tries to control reality. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Accept the fact of change. Choose one next step. Release the demand for certainty. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel jealous, notice what the ego says. The ego fears being replaced and tries to control love. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. See jealousy as fear. Communicate honestly. Set boundaries without threat. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel proud, notice what the ego says. The ego inflates and seeks superiority. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Share credit. Practice gratitude. Remember impermanence. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel ashamed, notice what the ego says. The ego says, I am wrong as a person, and wants to hide or attack. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Separate mistake from identity. Acknowledge, repair, and begin again. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you want to win an argument, notice what the ego says. The ego believes winning equals safety and respect. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Ask, do I want to win or understand? Choose connection and truth with care. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you are stuck in traffic, notice what the ego says. The ego says, my time is more important, and anger rises. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Use delay as practice. Feel the hands. Breathe. Train patience. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you are tempted to gossip, notice what the ego says. The ego wants bonding through judgment and superiority. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Hold silence for 3 breaths. Speak only what is true and helpful. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel lonely, notice what the ego says. The ego says, "I am unwanted," and craves validation. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Return to the body. Offer self-kindness. Reach out to one safe person. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you are exhausted, notice what the ego says. The ego demands productivity and attacks you for resting. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Rest without guilt. Care for the body. A calm body supports wisdom. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you meet someone difficult, notice what the ego says. The ego prepares for battle or for withdrawal. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Ground in the feet. Keep boundaries. Hold the wish that both can be free from harm. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel anxious, notice what the ego says. The ego tries to control the future by thinking non-stop. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Lengthen the exhale. Choose one useful action. Return to what is real now. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel resentful, notice what the ego says. The ego clings to being right and being wronged. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Drop one burning coal. Forgive to release poison while keeping boundaries. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment. When you feel the urge to prove yourself, notice what the ego says. The ego fears being unseen and chases performance. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Ask, who am I trying to impress? Return to sincerity and one humble step. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel superior. Notice what the ego says. The ego enjoys contempt and becomes blind. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Remember your own imperfection. Replace contempt with compassion. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel inferior. Notice what the ego says. The ego collapses into comparison and shame. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Straighten posture. Breathe. Remember you are a process, not a ranking. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when money worries rise. Notice what the ego says. The ego demands certainty and becomes harsh. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Do one practical step. Speak honestly. Practice contentment with what is simple. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you face a mistake at work. Notice what the ego says. The ego panics about image and status. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Own the mistake quickly. Repair. Learn. Let humility strengthen you. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when someone breaks your trust. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants revenge and permanent closure. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Protect yourself with boundaries. Allow grief. Refuse to carry hatred forever. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel numb. Notice what the ego says. The ego uses numbness to avoid pain and truth. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Return to body sensations gently. Walk. Breathe. Seek safe support. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel overwhelmed. Notice what the ego says. The ego says, "I cannot handle this," and spirals. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Choose the next smallest step. One task, one breath, one action. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you cannot sleep. Notice what the ego says. The ego replays stories and rehearses control. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Name it thinking. Soften the jaw. Return to breath and let the day end. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you meet old family patterns. Notice what the ego says. The ego becomes a child again and reacts fast. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Pause. Feel the body. Speak slowly. Choose boundaries and respect. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel rejected. Notice what the ego says. The ego says, "I am unworthy," and searches for proof. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Offer kindness to the hurt part. Remember impermanence. Do one act of self-respect. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel anger rise. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants to punish and dominate. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Locate anger in the body. Breathe out longer. Speak later when calm. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you want to control someone. Notice what the ego says. The ego fears uncertainty and tries to manage others. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Ask what you truly need. Communicate. Release the wish to own another mind. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are tempted to lie. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants comfort now and ignores long consequences. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Remember, a clean conscience is peace. Speak truth with care. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel stuck. Notice what the ego says. The ego says nothing will change and gives up. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Test one small practice for 7 days. Let evidence build confidence. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel addicted to attention. Notice what the ego says. The ego feeds on being seen and becomes restless. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Take a day of less posting. Return to quiet. Let the heart rest. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel your partner changing. Notice what the ego says. The ego fears loss and becomes controlling. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Respect freedom. Speak honestly. Hold love without chains. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel grief. Notice what the ego says. The ego fights reality and adds extra suffering. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Honor grief as love. Allow tears. Ask what would love do now. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel fear of death. Notice what the ego says. The ego demands permanence and panics. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Use death as a teacher. Practice kindness today. Do not postpone what matters. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel envy. Notice what the ego says. The ego measures and becomes bitter. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Bless the other person silently. Then focus on your next step. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel your ego in meditation. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants progress and special states. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Return to breath. Measure progress by kindness and steadiness. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you want to quit practice. Notice what the ego says. The ego says it is pointless and hides fear. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Begin again with 5 minutes. Keep it simple and steady. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel spiritual pride. Notice what the ego says. The ego wears Dharma as a costume. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Return to beginner mind. Serve quietly. Reduce harm. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you want people to agree with you. Notice what the ego says. The ego craves validation and fights disagreement. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Listen first. Speak one clear point. Release the need to win. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel impatience. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants the world to move faster. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Slow down on purpose. Walk mindfully. Let patience be strength. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel discouraged. Notice what the ego says. The ego turns one setback into identity. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Remember, you are a process. Learn one lesson. Begin again. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel hatred. Notice what the ego says. The ego hardens and becomes blind. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Practice loving kindness a little. Protect yourself, but refuse poison. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel craving. Notice what the ego says. The ego says, I must have this to be okay. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Notice craving as a wave. Delay one impulse. Choose enough. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel shame after being wrong. Notice what the ego says. The ego collapses and hides. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Apologize and repair. Let honesty be your dignity. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are tempted to judge a stranger. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants superiority. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Remember, they carry unseen battles. Choose kindness or neutrality. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are praised publicly. Notice what the ego says. The ego inflates and becomes fragile. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Receive with gratitude. Share credit. Stay grounded. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you are blamed unfairly. Notice what the ego says. The ego wants revenge and long arguments. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Speak once, clearly. Keep boundaries. Release the need to control their mind. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you face temptation to escape with screens. Notice what the ego says. The ego seeks numbness. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Take 3 breaths. Choose a walk, or water, or rest. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel addicted to being right. Notice what the ego says. The ego makes identity out of opinions. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Practice not knowing. Ask questions. Choose humility. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel stuck in regret. Notice what the ego says. The ego replays the past as punishment. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Repair what you can. Learn. Release the rest. Return to now. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you feel empty after success. Notice what the ego says. The ego realizes achievements do not satisfy forever. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. Turn outward to service. Turn inward to practice. Find meaning in virtue. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Here is a moment when you fear being ordinary. Notice what the ego says. The ego craves specialness. In this moment, the Buddha's medicine is not complicated. It is mindfulness and right intention. Take one breath. Feel the body. Name what is present. Then choose one wholesome step. Practice. See ordinary as sacred. One breath, one kind act, one honest day. Do not demand a perfect mind. Return again and again. This is how ego becomes wisdom. Now let us speak about the 5 hindrances, because they are the walls that keep the ego strong. Desire pulls you outward. Ill will hardens the heart. Sloth makes you numb. Restlessness scatters your attention. Doubt keeps you stuck. The Buddha did not condemn these. He taught that they are conditions, and conditions can be trained. When you recognize a hindrance, you are already stepping out of it. Because ignorance hides, awareness reveals. Hindrance. Desire. Desire becomes suffering when it turns into craving. The ego says, I must have it to be okay. Common signs: restlessness after pleasure, endless searching for stimulation, difficulty being content, chasing attention as if it were food. A skillful response: practice contentment with one simple thing. Delay one impulse by 10 breaths. Remember that craving rises and falls like a wave. Then return to breath. Return to the next wholesome step. This is training. Hindrance, ill will. Ill will is the mind pushing away. The ego thinks hatred is protection, but hatred is poison. Common signs: replaying insults, imagining revenge, contempt that feels like power, punishing with silence. A skillful response: practice loving kindness without forcing. Set boundaries without hatred. Drop one burning coal each day. Then return to breath. Return to the next wholesome step. This is training. Hindrance, sloth. Sloth is heaviness and avoidance. The ego uses it to escape discomfort and truth. Common signs: numbing with endless content, oversleeping to avoid life, avoiding practice because it feels hard, a dull mind that cannot care. A skillful response: stand up and walk mindfully. Open the eyes and breathe deeper. Choose one small task and finish it gently. Then return to breath. Return to the next wholesome step. This is training. Hindrance, restlessness. Restlessness is a scattered mind. The ego tries to control the future by thinking non-stop. Common signs: planning without end, worry that loops, doing many things but finishing nothing, a body that cannot settle. A skillful response: lengthen the exhale, feel the feet and the hands. Do one task slowly and completely. Then return to breath. Return to the next wholesome step. This is training. Hindrance, doubt. Doubt is the mind saying practice is pointless. Often it hides fear of change. Common signs: comparing methods endlessly, waiting for perfect certainty, quitting after small failure, asking questions to avoid doing. A skillful response: test one small practice for 7 days. Watch the results in body and speech. Let evidence build confidence. Then return to breath. Return to the next wholesome step. This is training. The 4 foundations of mindfulness are 4 doors out of the maze. Mindfulness of the body. Feel the breath. Feel the feet. Feel posture. Return again and again. Mindfulness of feelings. Notice pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Do not cling. Do not push away. Mindfulness of mind states. Notice desire, anger, dullness, restlessness, doubt. Name them. Do not obey them. Mindfulness of patterns. See cause and effect. See the chain. Cut the chain earlier. This is how the Buddha taught liberation. Not by magic, by seeing. Now let us practice together. Sit comfortably. Let the body be supported. Feel the feet, feel the hands. Bring attention to the breath. Breathing in, I know. Breathing out, I know. When thoughts arise, name them softly. Thinking. When stories arise, name them softly. Story. Return to breath. Now notice if the ego appears. Wanting praise, fear of blame, need to control, need to be right. Name it softly. Ego. Return to breath again. Each return is a step out of suffering. Each return is a step into freedom. Now we will do a body scan. Bring attention to the forehead. Soften. Bring attention to the eyes. Soften. Bring attention to the jaw. Soften. Bring attention to the shoulders. Lower them slightly. Bring attention to the chest. Let it soften. Bring attention to the belly. Let it soften. Bring attention to the hands. Unclench. If the body feels tight, do not fight it. Just notice. Noticing is already relief. Now take 3 slow breaths. Longer exhale. Let the nervous system learn safety. A calmer body supports a calmer mind. A calmer mind supports wisdom. Now let us practice a short walking meditation. If you are sitting, imagine standing. Feel the feet on the ground. One step. No, one step. One breath. No, one breath. The ego loves speed. The ego loves rushing. Walking meditation trains a different life. A life that is present. A life that does not need to prove. Let each step be simple. Here. Now. This. This is enough. Now let us offer a 30-day path, simple and realistic. Day 1 to 7. Practice the pause. 1 breath before replying. 1 breath before speaking. Day 8 to 14. Practice right speech. Less gossip. Less harsh tone. More honesty with care. Day 15 to 21. Practice generosity. 1 small act each day, quietly. Day 22 to 30. Practice mindfulness. 5 minutes of breath each day. When the mind wanders, return. Do not demand perfection. Do not demand a dramatic experience. Just practice. Just return. After 30 days, notice. You are different. Your reactions are slower. Your words are kinder. Your heart is lighter. That is progress. That is Dharma. If this talk is helping you, a gentle like supports Buddha Peaceful Mind and helps these teachings reach more people. Thank you for sharing a calm space. Here is a story about criticism and freedom. A young woman presented her work in a meeting. She had prepared carefully. She hoped to be appreciated. A senior colleague criticized her in front of everyone. The words were not cruel, but they were sharp. Her face became hot. Her throat tightened. Her mind screamed, "I am being humiliated." The ego wanted to fight. The ego wanted to explain. The ego wanted to destroy the colleague's image. But she remembered one practice. 1 breath. She took 1 breath and looked down for a moment. She felt her feet on the floor. She noticed heat in the chest and tightness in the jaw. She named it silently. Shame and anger. Then she asked inside, What is the most wholesome next step? She chose to listen, not to accept abuse, but to receive information. She asked one calm question. What would you recommend I improve first? The colleague gave one useful point. She wrote it down. Later, in private, she spoke clearly. When feedback is given in public, I feel exposed. Next time, please speak to me privately. Her voice was steady, not hostile. The colleague agreed. That day she learned something. Freedom is not having no trigger. Freedom is having one breath between trigger and action. Here is a story about envy turning into wisdom. A man saw his friend buying a new home. Everyone congratulated the friend. The man smiled, but inside he felt heavy. That night he scrolled through photos of the house. His chest tightened. His mind repeated, "Why not me?" He noticed something painful. His friend's joy had become his suffering. The next morning he sat quietly. He remembered a teaching. Envy is often admiration mixed with fear. So he asked, "What do I admire?" He realized he admired stability and courage. Then he asked, "What is the fear?" He realized the fear was not being enough, not being safe, not being respected. He breathed and offered kindness to that fear. He said, "You want safety. I hear you." Then he chose one action. He made a plan to save a small amount each month. Not to compete, but to build stability. He also sent his friend a sincere message. "I am happy for you." When he pressed send, something softened. His heart widened. He did not become free because he got a house. He became freer because he stopped drinking envy as poison. Here is a story about letting go of control. A mother loved her child deeply. She wanted the child to have a perfect life, so she controlled everything: food, friends, grades, schedule. Every day was a plan. The child became anxious. The child stopped sharing feelings. The child became quiet. One day, the mother heard a simple sentence. "Love without control is wisdom." She realized her control was not love. It was fear. Fear of being blamed. Fear of failure. Fear of loss. She began practicing one small thing. She asked questions instead of giving commands. What do you feel? What do you need? How can I support you? At first, it felt unsafe. Her ego wanted to manage, but she practiced breathing. Slowly, trust grew. The child began to speak. The house became softer. The mother learned a deep truth. Control looks like care, but it often hides fear. When fear is met with mindfulness, love becomes cleaner. Here is a story about apology as liberation. A man spoke harshly to his partner during a stressful week. He justified it. He said, "Work is hard, you should understand." But at night he felt restless. His conscience was not quiet. The ego tried to defend, but the body felt heavy. He remembered that integrity is peace. The next day he took one breath and said, "I was wrong. I spoke to you with disrespect. I am sorry. You did not deserve that." His partner's eyes softened. She said, "Thank you for saying that." The man felt something surprising. His ego thought apology would make him smaller, but apology made him lighter. That day he learned, pride is heavy. Humility is light. This is why the Buddha praised right speech and right action, not as moral decoration, but as freedom. Here is a story about the inner critic. A student wanted to meditate, but every time he sat, a harsh voice attacked him. "You are wasting time. You cannot do this. You will never change." He tried to force the voice away. It grew louder. Then a teacher gave him one instruction: do not fight the voice. Listen to it like you listen to a barking dog outside. You hear it, but you do not follow it. So he sat again. The voice barked. He named it silently, judging. Then he returned to breath. Each time it barked, he named it and returned. After many days, the voice softened. Not because it was defeated, but because it was not fed. He realized the critic was trying to protect him from disappointment. It was fear, not truth. He began speaking to himself with kindness. I can learn, I can begin again. His practice became possible. His heart became gentler. This is how ego is healed, not by war, but by awareness and compassion. Here is a story about loss and acceptance. A woman lost a job she had for many years. At first, she felt panic. Her mind said, I am nobody now. She noticed that the pain was not only money, it was identity. The ego had used the job as a definition: successful, respected, useful. Now that definition was gone. So the ego collapsed. She began a simple practice each morning. 3 breaths, then 1 sentence. I am more than a title. She also practiced 1 act of service each day: helping a neighbor, volunteering for 1 hour, cooking for family with care. Something changed. She felt dignity again, not because of a title, but because of virtue. Later, she found new work, but she said the bigger gift was this: my worth does not depend on my role. It depends on how I live. That is non-self in real life. Here is a story about being misunderstood. A man shared an idea with friends. They laughed. They misinterpreted him. He felt embarrassed. All night he replayed it. He imagined defending himself. He imagined perfect sentences. He imagined proving them wrong. Then he realized he was feeding ego suffering. He asked, what do I actually need? He realized he needed self-respect, not their approval. The next day, he did not chase them. He did not explain again. He simply lived his values. Later, one friend asked him privately, what did you mean yesterday? He explained calmly. The friend understood. He learned something. Chasing understanding can become ego. Clarity is enough. 1 honest sentence is enough. Then release. Freedom is not controlling other minds. Freedom is living cleanly in your own mind. Here is a story about patience. A man felt angry every morning in traffic. He called other drivers stupid. He arrived at work already bitter. One day, he decided to treat traffic as practice. He placed his hands on the wheel and breathed. He noticed anger in the body as heat. He labeled it anger. He did not force it away. He simply watched it rise and fall. He also practiced 1 intention: may I not harm with my words today. After a week, something changed. Traffic was the same, but his mind was different. He realized that he had been using traffic as a place to feed ego. The ego wanted to be right and fast and superior. When he stopped feeding it, traffic became a teacher, not of comfort, but of freedom. This is the Buddha's path. Freedom in ordinary conditions. Here is a story about aging. A woman looked in the mirror and saw new lines on her face. She felt sadness. The ego said, "I am losing value." She noticed how painful that story was. She realized she had been measuring worth by youth. She began a reflection practice. This body is changing. This is nature. She also practiced gratitude. These eyes can still see. This heart still beats. These hands can still help. She started using her time differently. Less chasing approval. More kindness. More presence. More honesty. She felt something beautiful. Aging was not only loss, it was also freedom from unnecessary games. The ego wants to freeze time. Wisdom bows to time and uses the day well. That is a deep peace. Before the final meditation, let us contemplate 5 recollections that the Buddha encouraged many practitioners to remember. I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape aging. I am of the nature to become ill. I cannot escape illness. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. Everything I love will change, and I will be separated from much of it. My actions are my only true inheritance. Whatever I do, good or bad, I will inherit the results. These recollections are not meant to depress you. They are meant to clarify you. They cut through ego games. They cut through petty battles. They cut through the addiction to being right. They cut through the thirst for applause. When you remember them, the mind becomes simple. You ask, what truly matters today? Maybe it is to speak gently to your family. Maybe it is to apologize. Maybe it is to stop wasting energy on resentment. Maybe it is to practice honesty. Maybe it is to serve someone quietly. Maybe it is to meditate for 5 minutes instead of scrolling for 1 hour. This is how these recollections become medicine. They do not say life is hopeless. They say life is precious. So do not waste it on ego. And remember, practice is not a performance. It is a direction. If you take one wholesome step today, you have already moved. If you take one breath before reacting, you have already changed karma. If you choose one kind sentence, you have already reduced suffering. So let your practice be small and steady. Let it be ordinary and real. Let it enter your speech. Let it enter your work. Let it enter your relationships. Let it enter how you eat and how you walk. The Buddha did not ask you to become someone special. He asked you to become free. And freedom is built from simple moments repeated. One breath, one pause, one truthful sentence, one act of restraint, one act of generosity, one repair after harm, one gentle beginning again. This is the path out of the ego's maze. One more small practice can help you bring ego work into daily life. Mindful eating. Before the first bite, pause. Look at the food. Remember that this meal came through many hands. Farmers, drivers, workers, cooks, the earth, rain, sun. Then take one breath. Take one bite slowly. Notice taste. Notice texture. Notice the urge to hurry. The ego often rushes. It wants more, faster. It eats without presence. So mindful eating trains contentment. It trains gratitude. It trains the ability to stay with one simple moment. Even if you do this for 3 bites only, it changes the mind. It reminds you that life is happening now, not in the story of me, not in the future, not in the past. Then carry this presence into the next action. Walking, speaking, listening. This is how small practices become a new life. And please remember this: you will forget, you will react, you will cling, you will judge, you will lose mindfulness. That is not proof you are failing. It is proof you are human. The practice is simple. Begin again. Beginning again is not weakness. Beginning again is strength. It is the human ability to return. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to kindness. Return to truth. Return to the next wholesome step. Each return is a small liberation. Now let us end with a closing meditation. Bring attention to the breath. Breathing in, I soften. Breathing out, I release. Notice grasping. Notice resisting. Say inside, I can care without clinging. I can protect myself without hatred. I can be strong without pride. I can be humble without shame. Now bring to mind one place where ego rules you most. Hold it gently. Take one breath. Release one small piece of the burden. Breathing in, I soften. Breathing out, I release. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be free. Rest for a few breaths. This is enough. One breath is a doorway. As we come toward the end, let the message be simple. The ego is not a monster. It is a pattern. Mindfulness is the lamp. It helps you see the pattern. And when you see, you can choose. Non-self is not coldness. It is freedom from clinging. It is love without possession. It is peace without denial. So practice the pause. Practice the breath. Practice right speech. Practice kindness. Practice letting go. Practice beginning again. Thank you for spending this time with Buddha Peaceful Mind. May your mind be clear. May your heart be gentle. May you be free from the heavy burden of needing to prove yourself. And may you taste the quiet joy of being simply here, alive, awake, and kind. Before we go to questions, let us add a few images that make this teaching unforgettable. Imagine a handful of salt. If you put it in a small cup of water, the water becomes too salty to drink. But if you put the same salt into a large lake, the lake remains drinkable. The salt is pain. The cup is a narrow mind. The lake is a wide mind. Ego narrows the mind. Everything becomes personal. Everything becomes proof. Everything becomes threat. Dharma widens the mind. Pain still exists, but extra suffering decreases. The heart becomes resilient. the mind becomes spacious. This is why practice is not about removing all difficulties. It is about widening the lake. Here is another image. A person walks at night with a small lantern. They complain, "This lantern is too small. It cannot light the whole road." An elder says, "The lantern is not meant to light the whole road. It is meant to light the next step." This is mindfulness. It does not solve your whole life in one moment. It lights the next step. One breath, one pause, one kind sentence, one boundary, one apology, one act of generosity, then the next step, and the next. This is how freedom is built. Now let us speak about something subtle. Sometimes people hear the teaching of non-self and they become careless. They say, "There is no self, so nothing matters." This is not wisdom. This is confusion. The Buddha taught responsibility. He taught that actions have results. Even if the self is not fixed, your actions still shape your life. The stream of conditions still flows. So non-self does not remove responsibility. It strengthens responsibility. Because if you are not trapped in a fixed identity, you can change, you can repair, you can learn, you can train, you can become kinder. That is the point. Now let us answer questions that many hearts carry. Listen slowly. Let one answer enter deeply. Then practice one small thing. Question: is the ego always bad? Answer: the ego is not evil. It is a protective pattern. It tries to keep you safe, respected, and included. The problem is not having a sense of self. The problem is being owned by it. When ego is in the driver's seat, you suffer and you harm. When awareness is in the driver's seat, you can use the self as a tool and still be kind. So do not declare war on ego. Understand it, observe it, and train it gently. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: if there is no self, who is practicing? Answer: practice happens in the stream of conditions. The body breathes, the mind observes, intention arises, effort is applied, habit changes. You do not need a permanent self to train the mind. A river can flow without a fixed stone at the center. In the same way, practice is a process. You become freer through repeated wholesome actions and repeated mindfulness. You are not a fixed thing practicing. You are a living process becoming clearer. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I know if I am responding or reacting? Answer: reaction is fast and tight. The body is tense. The breath is shallow. The mind wants to attack or defend. Response has space. There is at least one breath before speech. There is some curiosity. There is some willingness to see the other person. A simple test is your body. If your body is hard, ego is likely driving. If your body is softer, awareness is present. You can train response by practicing the pause again and again. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what if someone keeps disrespecting me? Answer: non-self does not mean you accept harm. The Buddha taught compassion and also wisdom. Wisdom includes boundaries. You can be firm without hatred. You can say no without cruelty. You can step away without revenge. If disrespect repeats, protect yourself. Reduce contact. Speak clearly once. If it continues, let your action match your words. The goal is safety and dignity, not winning. This is how you keep peace without becoming passive. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: is forgiveness required for awakening? Answer: forgiveness is a powerful medicine, but it cannot be forced. The Buddha's path aims to end hatred, because hatred is suffering. But forgiveness does not mean forgetting or returning to danger. It means releasing poison from your own heart. Sometimes forgiveness is gradual. You forgive in layers. You put down one potato today, then another later. If trauma is deep, healing may require support and time. Begin with safety and self-respect. Forgiveness can grow naturally from there. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: why do I keep comparing myself? Answer: comparison is the ego trying to locate safety through ranking. It believes if I am higher, I am safe. If I am lower, I am in danger. This is a false safety. There is always someone above, so the mind never rests. The medicine is contentment, gratitude, and returning to your own path. Ask what matters to you, not what looks impressive. Practice one small improvement. Celebrate others without making it a judgment about you. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what about spiritual pride? Answer: spiritual pride is ego wearing sacred clothing. It says, I meditate more, I know more, I am better. The cure is humility and service. Measure practice by reduced harm, not by special identity. Ask, am I kinder than before? Am I more patient than before? Am I more honest than before? If yes, practice is real. If not, return to basics. Beginner mind is a great protection. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I work with the inner critic? Answer: the inner critic often thinks it is helping. It believes harshness will keep you safe and strong, but harshness usually creates shame and paralysis. Practice seeing the critic as a voice, not as truth. Name it, judging. Then replace it with a compassionate truth. I am learning. I can begin again. I can repair. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a good friend. This does not remove responsibility. It removes cruelty. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: can the ego be used for good? Answer: yes. The sense of self can help you keep commitments, protect your family, and do meaningful work. The question is whether you use it lightly. When the ego is light, it serves values. When the ego is heavy, it serves image. So use identity as a tool. Be a parent who protects. Be a worker who is responsible. Be a friend who is loyal. Then release the need to be admired. Let virtue be your real identity. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: why does praise make me anxious? Answer: because praise can become a drug for the ego. It feels sweet, then it creates hunger. The mind begins to depend on it. Then fear appears. What if it stops? The medicine is to enjoy praise without clinging. Receive it, say thank you, and return to your values. Remember that worth is not built on applause. When you stop feeding the hunger, praise can be warm without becoming a cage. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: why does criticism hurt so much? Answer: criticism can trigger old wounds of humiliation and rejection. The ego hears danger. It believes your survival depends on being seen as good. The medicine is the pause. Breathe first. Feel the body. Separate information from identity. Ask what part is useful. If you made a mistake, repair. If it is unfair, speak once clearly, and then release the need to control their mind. You can keep dignity without war. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I practice non-self in love? Answer: non-self in love means caring without possession. It means respecting freedom. It means you do your best, communicate honestly, and do not use control as love. Clinging love says you must stay and never change. Wise love says, I care for you and I accept that life changes. This does not reduce devotion. It reduces jealousy, manipulation, and fear. Love becomes cleaner. Trust becomes possible. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: is detachment the same as not caring? Answer: number. Detachment in Buddhism means non-clinging. It means you care, but you do not demand control. You love, but you do not own. You help, but you do not build identity from being the savior. Non-clinging is warm. It includes compassion. Coldness is often numbness or avoidance. The Buddha's path is awakening, not numbness. You can feel deeply and still be free. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what is the fastest way to see ego? Answer: watch the body when you are triggered. The body tells the truth quickly. Tight jaw, hot chest, shallow breath, restless hands. When you notice these signs, pause. Name the emotion. Ask what is being protected. Then choose one wholesome step. This is fast because it happens before long thinking. The body is the early alarm. Use it. Train with it. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: why does the ego feel like me? Answer: because it uses your voice and your memories. It says I and mine. It speaks inside your head. But notice that thoughts arise on their own. Feelings arise from conditions. Impulses arise. When you watch carefully, you see that the mind is a stream, not a controller. Awareness can observe the stream. When awareness grows, identification softens. Then the ego feels less like you and more like a passing pattern. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I stop overthinking? Answer: overthinking is often restlessness and worry. The ego tries to control the future with thought. The cure is returning to the body and doing one useful action. Lengthen the exhale. Feel the feet. Choose one task and do it slowly. If a decision is needed, decide a small next step. If rest is needed, rest. Thought without action becomes a cage. Mindfulness returns you to what is real. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: can I be confident without ego? Answer: yes. Confidence without ego is quiet. It does not need to dominate. It is grounded in practice and integrity. Ego confidence needs applause and control. Wise confidence comes from effort, skill, and honesty. You know you can respond. You know you can repair. You know you can learn. This confidence is stable because it is not built on image. It is built on virtue and training. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what if I feel stuck in shame? Answer: shame often says, I am bad. That is an ego story. The Buddha's training is different. See the mistake clearly. Feel remorse without self-attack. Repair what you can. Commit to a better action next time. Then begin again. If shame is deep and linked to trauma, seek support. Be gentle. Shame thrives in secrecy. Healing grows in honesty and kindness. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I keep boundaries and still be compassionate? Answer: compassion does not mean access. You can wish someone well and still keep distance. You can understand that their harmful behavior comes from ignorance and still say no. Boundaries protect life. Hatred is not required for boundaries. When you set a boundary, keep your tone clean. Speak once, follow through. This is compassion for yourself and for the other person, because it stops enabling harm. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I use meditation to soften ego? Answer: use meditation to see, not to perform. Sit and watch breath. When thoughts arise, name them. When ego thoughts arise, name them. Story: return to breath. Over time, you see patterns. You see how craving and resistance arise and pass. This weakens identification. Also practice loving kindness so the heart stays warm. Meditation and compassion together create real freedom. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what is the role of ethics in ego practice? Answer: ethics is protection. When you lie, manipulate, or harm, the mind becomes restless and defensive. The ego grows because it must protect the image. When you live with integrity, the mind is lighter. Less fear, less shame, less need to prove. A clean conscience supports meditation. So ethics is not moral decoration. It is a foundation for freedom. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: why do I feel empty even after success? Answer: because the ego promises satisfaction and then cannot deliver. Achievements are conditioned and temporary. The ego wants them to become identity. But identity built on conditions is fragile. The medicine is meaning. Use success to serve. Practice generosity. Practice humility. Practice mindfulness. Let your life be guided by values, not by applause. Then success can be useful without becoming a cage. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I handle people who provoke me? Answer: first, protect safety. Then train response. Notice the trigger in the body. Pause. Breathe out longer. Name the emotion. Do not reply from heat. Choose wise speech or silence. If a boundary is needed, speak once and follow through. Remember that provocation often seeks to hook your ego. When you do not bite, you keep your freedom. That is victory without war. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: how do I know I am progressing? Answer: look at your life, not your ideas. Are you less reactive than before? Are you kinder than before? Do you repair faster? Do you gossip less? Do you feel more content? Do you handle criticism with more calm? Progress is reduced suffering and reduced harm. It is not a mystical badge, it is daily change. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Question: what is the simplest practice I can start today? Answer: one breath before speech. That is enough. One breath before replying to a message. One breath before judging. One breath before acting on craving. This breath creates space. Space creates choice. Choice creates new karma. Practice this all day, then reflect at night. Where did I remember? Where did I forget? Begin again tomorrow. Take one breath. Let the answer become a practice, not only an idea. Before we close, let us go deeper into the 5 aggregates in a way that you can practice. First, the body. The ego often says, my body must look a certain way. My body must stay young. My body must not fail. But the body is a living process. Breath, heartbeat, digestion, energy, fatigue, healing, aging. So practice this phrase gently. This body is not a possession. It is a changing nature. This does not mean you neglect the body. You care for it with respect. You sleep. You eat with care. You move. You rest. But you stop building identity on it. You stop worshiping it. You stop hating it. You treat it like a precious vehicle for practice. One day, it will be returned. So use it well and do not cling. Second, feelings. Feelings arise as pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. The ego chases pleasant and pushes away unpleasant. Practice seeing feelings as weather. They come, they go, they change. When pleasant comes, enjoy without clinging. When unpleasant comes, breathe without panic. When neutral comes, stay awake and present. This is freedom from being controlled by mood. Third, perceptions. Perceptions are labels: good, bad, friend, enemy, success, failure. The ego gets trapped in labels. It believes the label is truth. Practice noticing labels as labels. A thought says enemy. A thought says failure. A thought says not enough. When you see it as labeling, not reality, the mind becomes lighter. Then you can respond more wisely. Fourth, mental formations. These are habits, intentions, and reactions. This is where ego lives strongly. You can practice by watching formations rise. The urge to interrupt, the urge to prove, the urge to punish, the urge to hide. Name them softly. Urge, plan, defense. Then return to breath. Each time you do this, the formation weakens, because you are not feeding it with action. Fifth, consciousness. This is the simple knowing of experience. Sounds are known. Breath is known. Thoughts are known. When you rest in knowing, you remember. I am not only the thought, I am the awareness that knows the thought. This is not mystical, it is direct experience. Practice 5 minutes a day. Breath is known, thought is known, feeling is known. The more you practice, the more the ego loosens, and peace becomes more natural. Now let us offer a 7-day home retreat that fits a busy life. It is gentle, it is realistic, it is powerful. Day 1 is the day of the pause. Practice 1 breath before speaking. 1 breath before replying to messages. 1 breath before judging. At night, reflect for 1 minute. Where did I pause? Where did I rush? Begin again. Day 2 is the day of the body. Spend 10 minutes with the body. A slow walk, a mindful shower, a mindful meal. Feel the feet, feel the hands. Let the body bring you into the present. At night, reflect. How did the body feel when ego was active? Tight or soft? Day 3 is the day of feelings. Notice pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Do not cling to pleasant. Do not push away unpleasant. Just name what is here. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. At night, reflect. Which feeling do I fear most? Which feeling do I chase most? Day 4 is the day of right speech. Choose 1 speech training. No gossip for 1 day, or no harsh tone for 1 day, or more honesty with care for 1 day. When you fail, repair quickly. At night, reflect. How did speech affect my peace? Day 5 is the day of generosity. Give 1 thing each day. A kind message, a small help, a donation if you can. Give without needing praise. At night, reflect. How did giving soften my ego? Day 6 is the day of forgiveness. Choose 1 resentment. Not the biggest one if it is too painful. Choose 1 small one. Release it for 1 hour. Do not replay the story for that hour. When it returns, breathe and release again. At night, reflect. How heavy was the bag before and after? Day 7 is the day of wisdom. Contemplate impermanence. Everything changes. Bodies change. Moods change. Circumstances change. Then ask, what truly matters? Then choose one value to live tomorrow. Kindness, honesty, patience, courage. At night, bow inside to your own effort. Not perfection, effort. This 7-day retreat does not make you holy. It makes you honest. It makes you steadier. And that is real progress. One more thing is important. Many people fear that letting go of ego will make life dull. They think without ego, there is no joy. But the Buddha taught a different joy, a cleaner joy. Ego joy depends on being superior. Ego joy depends on being praised. Ego joy depends on winning. This joy is unstable. It creates fear of loss. Clean joy comes from virtue, from kindness, from generosity, from a mind that is not at war. When you speak truthfully and kindly, there is quiet joy. When you forgive and put down poison, there is quiet joy. When you help someone without needing credit, there is quiet joy. When you sit and breathe and the mind becomes soft, there is quiet joy. This joy is not loud, but it is deep. It is a refuge, and it is available in ordinary life, right now, in this breath.